Hey everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, December 1st, 2019. I hope everybody had a really lovely Thanksgiving holiday. I really enjoyed Thanksgiving in Genoa City. I love that we have this tradition at Crimson Lights where Sharon and now her sexy sidekick Ray are handing out meals for the homeless. I thought it was wonderful. I like that Sharon keeps us grounded there and helps us remember the meaning behind Thanksgiving of giving. I was really surprised that Nick and Devon weren't there, because Nick and Devon are very much entrenched in their New Hope project, which I believe provides housing for people in need. I would think it would have been a perfect tie-in to have two members of the ex-rich guys club serving up, some meals to the less fortunate on Thanksgiving Day. Frankly, I would argue that Nick and Devon are both still rich guys. They are not ex-rich. They are ex-wildly rich guys, but they're still pretty rich guys. Well, Devon wasn't there, no. But Elena was there, and Nate and Amanda were there volunteering. And everyone noticed the sparks that were flying between Nate and Amanda. Crimson Lights literally could have roasted a turkey on the sparks that were flying between those two. Or maybe they could have roasted a turkey on the sparks that were flying out of Elena's eyes toward Amanda when she realized that Nate is interested in Amanda. He is available to Amanda, and he is actively defending Amanda. She was not happy. Elena was not happy. But I have a feeling we're going to be learning some more about Amanda very, very soon. I have a feeling that Nate is going to end up asking Ray to do some investigating or some background checking on Amanda. There was just this tiny little moment between Amanda and Ray and then Nate and Ray, and I thought, maybe Nate is gonna ask Ray if he's able to unearth any new information. Wasn't Victor supposed to be doing that? I could have sworn weeks ago, after Victor met with Amanda and Nate about his hearing, he made a phone call to somebody or another saying, find out everything you know about this Amanda Sinclair, and then nothing. I need some info. I still think, though, that Amanda, in the end, is going to end up being a good guy. She mentioned this week, by the way, that she is merely a humble contract attorney. She's not going to end up being our new defense attorney, I guess, or, a prosecuting attorney. She did make sure to mention she just handles contracts and kind of business arrangements. I don't know if she was just saying that to get out of it, to get out of anything more, but I think she's going to end up being one of the good guys. I think she's hiding something, don't get me wrong. I think she's hiding from something, and she is about to set up shop in another new city. I get the feeling she's done this before, possibly with another new name. Maybe this is nothing new to her. I think whatever she is running from, though, is of a personal nature. I don't think that she is a crook. I don't think she is a criminal working with Colin. I think that she is a victim of someone and something. And she even mentioned to Nate that she has no real relationships with her family to speak of. That's why she was at Crimson Lights volunteering on Thanksgiving Day. And she also mentioned that she's going to have to give Nate her new phone number because she recently changed it. She made up some excuse about why she changed it. There were some spam calls coming in or something, but even Nate raised an eyebrow to that. Has anybody noticed, by the way, that Nate has a scar running over one of his eyebrows? It's kind of sexy in a weird way. I don't know. I like the way he uses his eyebrows. Oh, but look, if he is a little suspicious of Amanda, then I think, you know, I think we're gonna get some more information on her. I mean, well, this is a huge red flag that should not be ignored. Amanda and Nate are written in the stars. The fact that Amanda is running away from something means that she needs some help. She's a little bit of a damsel in distress. And then you pair that with the fact that Elena and Devon are being really harsh toward her. These two things are going to push Nate and Amanda into each other's arms, possibly into one of those Grand Phoenix hotel rooms right under Abby's nose. I was surprised that we did not see an Abbott family Thanksgiving table this year. I guess Y&R felt that we should be stuffed. We should have gotten our fill of the Abbott family with the special memoir episode that we got on Monday, so it was all Newman. And it was nice to see the Newmans for a while. I really appreciated the spectacular symbolism of Victor wearing a paper crown. I mean, the entire family, really, all of the Newmans, our Genoa City royalty, wearing their paper crowns, which is all those crowns boil down to in the end. Oh, I thought it was great. I mean, all of them going around the room one by one with that whole tried and true cliche, saying what it is they're thankful for this year. I especially loved how Victoria could not pass up the opportunity to congratulate herself for being CEO of Newman Enterprises. She practically had it written on her head. Oh wait, she did have it written on her head. Bravo, Victoria, you win. I wonder if Victoria is going to allow herself to take the time off to go on that fabulous family ski trip to Switzerland. I mean, isn't that wonderful? I want to go. Nikki announces that Victor has had a clean bill of health from Nate, and so they're planning a family trip to Switzerland. Do you think that Nate told Victor that he was well enough to go on this fabulous trip to Switzerland before or after pulling that volunteer shift at the hospital on Thanksgiving Day so that other doctors could be with their family, and then heading down to Crimson Lights on his lunch break to serve meals to the poor, unfortunate peasants of Genoa City who can't afford a private vacation house in the Alps this holiday season? Oh, how the other half lives. I thought it was good, though, that Summer decided to stop by the Newman Ranch and come back into the fold a little bit. She was still seething underneath the surface with Victor for, you know, letting her think that he was dead. But she stopped by. She was there to give her support and her love for her family. And she also gave a little support and love to Chelsea for what she's going through with Connor. I'm sure that will be short-lived once Nick and Chelsea break up. But it was still nice to see Summer there, being cool. It was nice to see her giving Victor the hug. Mostly because I just want to bury that storyline. That's where I think it belongs, in the ground. Victor was dead for a minute. Let's move on. I thought that Victor, he was unusually happy this year. I thought he was drunk. I'm not kidding. I honestly thought he seems drunk right now. Even Nick made a comment to Nikki about it. And Nikki just said, shut up and enjoy it, son. So that's what I'm going to do too. I'm going to take that advice. And I'm just going to say, I thought it was nice to see everyone happy. Nikki and Victor, Victoria and Billy, and Nick and no, wait. No, let's stop the list there. Did you see the way that Nick dodged that kissy, intimate moment that he could have had with Chelsea? Ooh, everybody else in the room was sharing a Thanksgiving kiss and hug. And Nick said, you want a refill on that wine? I like Phyllis and Adam as friends. Maybe more in the future, but friends is good. I don't need Phyllis and Adam to be plotting some master revenge together. I just need them to be oddballs in partnership, you know, like just be understanding and supportive of each other. Nobody else kind of really gets it, but they come together and they're friendly. I like that dynamic. I never understood why out of the blue Adam started treating Phyllis like an annoying little sister. And I never understood why Phyllis would be throwing herself at him, begging for his friendship. But she still is, and he still is. Phyllis shows up at Adam's penthouse on Thanksgiving. I don't know how she knew that he was there alone, but she did. And she again starts to feed his ego. This is what she does. She feeds his ego and she validates everything that he feels about himself and his position in the family, which is not even necessarily entirely true. I mean, Phyllis starts going on and on about how badly the Newman family treats him. They asked him to come back to town to help out with Connor, and then they turn around and treat him like garbage. Well, okay, that probably applies to Nick, but hey, not for nothing, Victor wanted Adam at the Newman family Thanksgiving. I wish he would have been there. But he was still stuck alone together with Phyllis, slowly eating Chinese food. So slowly. Way slower than I eat Chinese food. But they were also talking and drinking wine, and Phyllis was asking Adam some more questions that he gave no answers to. And then he started asking her questions that she barely gave any answers to. The one thing she did say was that he was asking her about the Grand Phoenix security system, and she did let slip that whatever she had planned was spoiled by the thing that happened with Simon. So that feels like confirmation to me that Phyllis totally had that security system installed. She had left loopholes for herself, but she had to wipe it to cover her tracks when the whole thing went down with Simon. But will we ever know what Phyllis was originally planning? She told Adam that she is giving up the goose. She is no longer interested in the revenge business. So maybe whatever it was that she was doing with that software was all about revenge. I mean, Phyllis has been nothing but all about revenge for a long time now. But I would at least like to know what she was planning. Or is that just lost into the ether now? I am not sure. But after Phyllis left, and when Chelsea got home from the Newman family Thanksgiving, I couldn't help but note that Chelsea did a double take at the 2 glasses of wine that were still sitting on Adam's coffee table. They were left over from his little impromptu party with Phyllis. And Adam saw Chelsea looking at the 2 glasses. And he was really quick to reassure her that it wasn't what it looks like. Oh no, it was just Phyllis here. She was just being Phyllis. And yeah, she was snooping around for information, dirt about you, Chelsea. But the look on Chelsea's face, though, she did not like it. And I don't know if there's more to it. I don't know if Chelsea has any feelings for Adam at this point. How could you not? I mean, they had such an epic love story. She must feel something for him. At the very least, I'm sure she would not want to see him involved with Phyllis. My question is, though, do you think that Adam has any attraction to Phyllis at this point? I feel sold on the idea that Phyllis is probably attracted to Adam. I can't think of any other reason why she is pushing herself on him. But do you think that Adam sees Phyllis in that way at all? Adam is very hard to read, which is part of the beauty of his character. You don't really know what's going on in his head. He might be wanting Phyllis, and I'm just not picking up on it. Are you? I'm just almost wondering, is there any chance that Adam and Chelsea are going to end up forced together, whether they like it or not? Whether she likes it or not, probably more so. And I keep thinking, well, I wonder if Adam and Chelsea are both going to find themselves on the outside looking in of the people who they'd really rather be with. Maybe Adam and Chelsea are going to end up together. Maybe Phyllis and Nick are going to end up together. And Chelsea's going to be watching this whole thing going down, jealous that Phyllis is hooking up with the guy she'd kind of rather be with. I get the impression that Chelsea would kind of rather be with Nick than Adam at this point. And maybe Adam is going to watch that pair up thinking that he would have liked to had a chance to hook up with Phyllis, but instead his brother got what he wanted for himself yet again. Oh no. Oh, look out, everybody. Now the monster is inside of Connor. That's not good. That is not good. Luckily, it seems, though, that the monster does not have as much power over him when Adam and Chelsea are living under the same roof as him and getting along and possibly hooking up in the future. So thank goodness for that. Chelsea and Adam are doing the right thing for their son. They are. They're doing everything they can do for their son. And Nick needs to accept that. Nick needs to defer to Chelsea and Adam and their parenting skills and their parenting prerogative. This is not Nick's business. He's with Chelsea, and Chelsea is doing a really poor job of handling Nick. Rather than talking to him and keeping him in the loop, she's shutting Nick out. And that's just making him want to bang down the door to get in even more. She should be including him, or at least keeping him in the loop about what's even going on with her and with Connor. Nick still cares about Connor, but he had to find out from Sharon that Connor's going to have to be homeschooled. And the result, you know, kind of the general gist of what's going on with the kid. Nick shouldn't have to ask Sharon. Chelsea should be being open with him about it. And the other thing is, Adam shouldn't have to call Chelsea to be with Connor after a nightmare. She should already be there. She should have already moved in. She should have already been going to all of Connor's doctor's appointments, his therapy appointments, every single one. She should have been there. I mean, look, the relationship with Nick has to take a back seat when you are dealing with a kid with a monster inside of him now. I would say to Nick, I am so grateful for the fact that you forgave me for the whole Simon thing and that you accepted me, and I am grateful for your support right now. But if you need to move forward, then you need to move forward, because this is what I need to focus on right now. And that's not what Chelsea is doing. Instead, Chelsea is just stuck in between. She's stuck in limbo, and she is not doing anybody any favors. All Chelsea has been doing she's just been writhing around in her own guilt, blaming herself and saying it every chance that she gets, as if that changes anything. And I kind of love how Sharon has been kind of firm with Chelsea. Like, every time Chelsea starts to spin out, Sharon pulls her right back to reality. Sharon thinks that Connor has PTSD. Yeah. And the moment that Sharon said that, Chelsea started spinning out and kind of making it about herself and saying, it's all my fault, I'm so guilty of what I've done to my child. And Sharon pulled her right back to reality and said, this is not helping. What is going to help is for you to get it together and focus on solving the problem. I love that Sharon, for once, is the sane person here. She's actually not part of the problem for once. But now the problem is, the situation with Connor has escalated to the point that Connor either needs to have some round-the-clock care in a mental facility, or Chelsea just needs to bite the bullet and be there at Adam's house 24/7 to help care for the child full-time. She should have done it weeks ago. I get the feeling that she kind of just wants to do that now. I mean, after the awkward Thanksgiving that she had with the Newmans and the awkward no kiss that she got from Nick, she texts him later that night and says, yeah, I'm going to stay here to be with Connor. And Adam had given her the sense that Connor had had a pretty good day. Everything seems to be okay. I got the sense in that moment that Chelsea was saying, I kind of don't even want to go back to Nick's house right now. I kind of don't want to deal with this awkwardness. I just want to focus on my son, which is what she should be doing. I 100% agree that Chelsea needs to be there at this point. I will say, though, I didn't like the way, prior to the Thanksgiving incidents, the Thanksgiving episode, I didn't like the way Adam pulled Chelsea in and told her that it's either Connor goes to mental facility or you move in here and help me deal with him and be here with him 24/7. But I didn't like the way he said, you need to choose. You know, you need to decide who comes first. Is it Nick or is it your own son? I just didn't like boiling it down to something like a simple choice, because it's such a crazy oversimplification of what's going on. I mean, it's a crappy thing to say to somebody. You need to choose your boyfriend or your son. Well, of course her son comes first. Saying it that way made me feel like Adam was trying to manipulate her or guilt her into packing her bags. And in that way, it's Nick's worst fear come true. That's exactly what Nick was thinking that Adam would do. I mean, Chelsea's in kind of this vulnerable position, and in that moment, Adam made her feel like it would be selfish for her to continue her relationship with Nick when the son needs this much help. And while it's true, I don't like that phrasing. I don't like, the way that came out of him. I mean, of course Connor comes first, and Nick had better understand that. Nick had better not try to make this about him and Adam. This is Chelsea's life, it's Chelsea's son, Adam's son. He has to step back at this point. He can love Chelsea. He can maintain a relationship with Chelsea if he plays his cards right. Lots of people don't live together and still have relationships. Like tons of people have relationships without living together. Of course, the only difference is usually it's not one of them living with their ex. And also this is a soap opera, so we know that really, at the end of the day, Connor is just the saddest, sweetest little plot tool to bring Adam and Chelsea back together. I mean, at this point, we know it. The writing is on the wall. Chelsea and Nick have been over for weeks. Chelsea pre-ordered Nick a nameplate to celebrate his political win that he never had. Chelsea ordered him a nameplate that says Nick Newman, councilman. She should have ordered him a nameplate that said Nick Newman, ex-boyfriend. The end of Cane Ashby. After 13 years, that was it. That was it. Colin accuses his own son of faking Catherine's will and then somehow magically drains Cane's account of the $2 billion, less the trust funds that were set up for the kids. As if it were that easy. Just, oh, let's take that $2 billion now. Okay. Okay. And then Cane says now that he's gonna clear his name. He is going to bring Catherine's money back to its rightful owner. And then nothing else. No way. This is not happening, right? There's more to the story, right? I would have rather seen Cane, one of my favorite guys, die in some dramatic fashion. Or I would have rather seen Cane actually be revealed as the mastermind. I just would have rather have seen something worthy of our investment in the character. Something juicy. Anything. Am I off base here, or was this anticlimactic? I mean, I don't know if it's just me because I was building it up, but he's not a guy that just came onto the show a couple of months ago. 13 years? And this? I don't know, chatters. You tell me, did Y&R give Cane Ashby a good goodbye? Or were you disappointed in this? That is our poll question for this week at yrchat.com. If you would like to sound off on Cane's exit and vote in the poll, you know how I'm gonna vote. After all of this time and for all of his fans, anything would have been better than Cane just fizzling out with no fanfare. The only good thing about this is that it does leave the door wide open for the next regime in 2020 to come back, bring the character back, and give him some actual storylines. But they could have done that with a death. They could have milked this. They could have timed this out with November sweeps. Kill him in some way that you can bring him back. There's no rules in soap operas. Chop off his head. Put it on ice. He's fine. He'll be back in a year. They could have done something. It is so almost disrespectful don't know what happened behind the scenes, but Daniel Goddard has to be offended a little. I don't know how he could not be. And I also wonder if it kind of ticked him off that all of his final scenes just so happened to be with Chance, because it kind of seems to me like Chance is his equivalent replacement, because there is absolutely no reason that Cane could not have been the hero here with Colin without Chance. Didn't need Chance. He wasn't even in his jurisdiction, apparently. And there is absolutely no reason that Cane couldn't have had the fling with Abby, Lily's best friend, and not Chance. So what happens now that Daniel Goddard's scenes are filmed and Cane is no longer going to be seen? Is Cane going to mail back Devon a $2 billion check with an apology note? Is Cane gonna track Colin down and hold him on the ground and force him to give back the money? Apparently, Colin was arrested off screen and also escaped off screen. But he's still sitting on the money that he stole from Cane, and I don't even feel clear about whether or not the new pages of Catherine's will are real. I don't know. Chance walked into the scene, the very last scene at Devon's penthouse. Chance comes on in there to update Devon, basically replay the whole scene that happened in the Maldives. The whole final scene that happened in the Maldives, basically replayed in Devon's penthouse for Devon's benefit. We didn't get nothing new. Just some more accusations of Cane and some more no answers. Chance walked into the scene in Devon's penthouse, supposedly there to sweep up some scraps of this awful storyline and tell us all about Colin's off-screen confession. Once again, this just happened off-screen. Everything with Colin just right off-screen. We didn't see it. And apparently, Colin told Chance that there was no collusion between Tucker and Catherine's attorney, but still, those new will pages were authenticated by someone that Jill hired. Jill's a neutral party. Jill didn't really have a dog in this fight. She got nothing out of it. But Devon is standing there implying that Cane and Colin could have paid off that forensic documents examiner. I'm sorry, Devon, that you gave away all your money. I'm sorry that you're mad at yourself for making this decision, but it doesn't mean Cane was in on it, and Cane denies it. He's done nothing but deny it. Cane ended up with nothing. The fact that Colin is the one who ended up with the money in the end, that right there should make it obvious to everyone, that Colin is the real culprit here, not Cane. Colin stole Catherine's money. Colin's the criminal. Cane doesn't need to prove anything. He doesn't need to clear his name of anything. Why did everyone turn on Cane? He was a shady character for what, maybe a year when he first came onto the show. But then he gave us a decade of being a mostly upstanding citizen. But that doesn't matter now. Apparently Cane is suspect. Someone tell me. Seriously, tell me why Cane would steal Devon's money. Tell me why Cane would even want revenge on Devon. That makes no sense. Cane had taken responsibility for what happened in his marriage to Lily. Cane would never have wanted to steal from Lily's brother. He loves Lily. He's never done anything but fawn over her even since the divorce. He would never want to steal from her family. And the money part is also not even consistent with what we've seen from his character for the past months now. He gave up a high-paying job at Chancellor Industries to go do social work. So come on. Why does Cane now have to fight to clear his name? Because of the accusations of a crook? Said only when the crook was cornered and caught? And then, after having come full circle and having this kind of wonderful understanding moment, like a respectful moment with Amanda, Devon is right back to thinking that Amanda was in on this whole thing. Even though there's no evidence of that. No one has accused her. No one has mentioned her name. She got paid to do a job and didn't benefit beyond that. So was that change of heart only so that Devon could stand there while Elena called Amanda a cold-hearted bitch, and then Amanda called Elena a gold digger? Hey, if the shovel fits. Okay. So all that changed just to get some rivalries going there, I guess. I mean, it's a little bit of a shame because just when I was starting to kind of like Elena's more laid-back, sweetheart vibe, all of a sudden she's changed. She's pretty different now. And I mean, I'll take the rivalry, fine. Ultimately, I guess I'll take the rivalry, but I'm gonna have to see some evidence that Amanda was involved in this scam. Or else it just looks like Devon and Elena are making her a target because she just so happens to look exactly, remarkably like Hillary. Chloe thinks that Abby has a crush on Chance. And she is right. I got nothing against Chance. I like him. I was glad for this interaction too between Chloe and Abby because Chloe and Chance were hot and heavy for about a minute. And I like him. I do like him. I keep thinking I detect a little bit of a southern accent with this actor. Sometimes he gives me a little bit of a cowboy vibe. Can we get a belt buckle on him at least? If you're gonna have him replace Cane, then at least put a belt buckle on him. Oh. Well, Chloe is going out of her way to reassure us that Chance is a good guy. On a scale of 1 to 10 of good guys, Chance is an 11. He is always white hat. He has no dark side whatsoever, which means he has a dark side now. For sure. Once again this week, we get references to what happened between Adam and Chance in Vegas without really getting any new information. First, Phyllis continues making these empty threats. She does it to Chance, she does it to Adam. She was telling Chance at the Grand Phoenix that she knows what they did. When she doesn't, she doesn't. And if she does know what happened between Adam and Chance, she is not telling us. I think she's just toying with them and us. And then Chance bumps into Adam at the bar. And I thought, ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, we gonna get something? Chance thanks Adam for his help with that thing in Vegas. To which Adam replies that he just wants to keep that whole thing quiet. He just wants to let what happened in Vegas stay buried in the desert. Well, okay. So, there we go. A whole nother week of that. No new info. Nothing. Just more of the same. Very satisfying. That is some great storytelling right there. Chatters, what do we think of Roz and Sherry, our adventure-seeking cosplayers? So let me get this straight. These two numbskulls wanted to stay at the Grand Phoenix Hotel because they heard that it is a criminal hotel with a criminal reputation. They wanted to stay at a crime hotel with their valuable cosplay jewels. And then they got upset when there was a crime at the crime hotel and their cosplay jewels got stolen. I'd say they got their money's worth. I'd say they got what they deserved. Abby was pretty much comping their whole stay. Penthouse suite, night at society, free drinks. Is that really the way to get your business back on track? Giving free stuff to the people who are already enthusiastic? Enthusiastic is a real understatement about Roz and Sherry. Let me ask you this. Roz and Sherry, was this bit funny to you? I don't want to be too hard on Y&R right now because I love Y&R. And I realize that humor is subjective. And I also realize that I am very choosy about humor. And it is nothing against these two actresses, but these scenes did not work for me. It felt too hokey. It felt too high school theater program to me. I'm picky. I know I'm picky about my comedy, but I don't think this Y&R regime does comedy very well. It wasn't funny to me. It felt awkward to me. It made me uncomfortable. And it also didn't seem like it fit with the show, tonally or otherwise. I don't know these two characters, so I found it very hard to care about their situation. To me, they just seemed irritating. I would rather be seeing one of the many stories that we have on the show right now that have holes and loose ends. I did not appreciate old Roz and Sherry taking schoolgirl selfies. Acting like schoolgirls, taking selfies in the background while Nick and Devon were trying to have a serious conversation, like serious scenes about their life. It pulled me out of a moment that I really cared about and wanted to connect in with. Like the whole fact that they were in the background being silly was just distracting to me. Like I didn't want to have to fight to see what was going on in the foreground. So I mean, am I supposed to believe that these two meatheads from Muncie would even recognize, let alone be going crazy over two rich businessmen? But then not even recognize or mention that Abby is an actual celebrity? The naked heiress? It all just seemed so lame to me. Y&R could have just given me 12 more scenes of Abby and Phyllis snarking at each other. I'd have preferred that. Because now there's been another room break-in at the Grand Phoenix and another break-in, probably some more break-ins next week. I mean, I'm sure that it has something to do with the whole breach in Wi-Fi security. Like someone has obtained access to the whole system that secures the room keys and the codes and probably locks the foyers and the stairwells and traps you into this fire hazard we're calling the Grand Phoenix Hotel. So more robberies, more failures of security, which is Phyllis's job. So Abby's ticked at Phyllis. Phyllis is ticked at Abby. And my goodness, 86% of Y&R chatters are Team Abby when asked to pick a side in this whole argument. Ooh, 86% support in Abby. 14% said, ooh, Phyllis. I'm on Phyllis's side. This is great. See, this is something they're doing really well. I do like new rivalries that are warranted and like led up to. I mean, I guess I still kind of struggle a little bit to make some of these leaps, but I don't know, this one just works. It's like I'm just trying in my mind kind of comparing it to Elena and Amanda, but Elena went from 0 to 100 in one day, in one episode. Like I do feel that there was at least some investment in trying to build up the tension between Abby and Phyllis, even if all the pieces aren't working for me. But wow, I was very surprised to see I thought it would at least be a little more even, the vote, but wow, the majority of people coming out to support Abby. I mean, Abby offered to buy Phyllis out. I mean, all of this could have been over and done with this week. But Phyllis did not accept the buyout. It just makes me think she does have some kind of long-term plan going on. Why wouldn't Phyllis just take her money and go? Maybe it's just because then we wouldn't have our wonderful new rivalry. I mean, for now, Abby and Phyllis are forced together to fix this problem. Not Chelsea, by the way, the third owner of the Grand Phoenix Hotel. Abby and Phyllis are there trying to fix problems, but Chelsea was given the day off to help Connor. And that's fine. She deserves her time off. But I'd just rather, if there's going to be a three-way there, if there's going to be three owners and a rivalry, then maybe Chelsea should sell her shares and bring somebody else in there to get in the middle or to, mediate or something. Like it's supposed to be a triumvirate and there's only two. I don't know. Well, this time Abby and Phyllis decide to call the police at the very end. They've finally decided to involve the police. But we haven't seen the police. We haven't seen Ray or Paul investigating all these crimes that are going on at the crime hotel. I tell you what, look out, Jordi Villasuso, the actor who plays Ray. You might want to take a note from Daniel Goddard, because Chance could be there to take your job. Where's Ray? Nowhere. Chance, whose FBI is the one who's working on this case privately with Abby. He just shows up right at the most opportune moment, just in time to rescue that damsel in distress. And who knew, just as he was getting ready to leave Genoa City forever. Please grade this week's Y&R Chat on a curve. Knowing that I'm going through the loss of Cane. I don't want to be a complainer, but here's something else I need to complain about. I wish that Billy's therapist was Sharon. Because then at least we could speculate about whether or not they were going to hook up. That at least would be fun. This is no fun. I don't even know what to say to you this week about Billy. He maybe doesn't like himself. He maybe has some self-esteem issues. Okay, but it's not a story. And it's not even strong character development. It just makes me feel like I'm going to therapy. Like I'm being forced to go to TV therapy. Because who doesn't have self-esteem issues? Where is all of this going is my question. I mean, last week, Billy said that he was going to be content to just watch the sun go up and then watch the sun go down. And then this week, it seems like he's searching for some new meaning again. I mean, I guess it's genetic. He's Jack's brother. He has to go searching for some meaning. And in the previews for Monday's show, we see Billy showing up at that same dingy bar that Amanda was at last week. Some guy is appearing to be hitting on Amanda or harassing Amanda in some way. And Billy steps in to try to help her. Please tell me that we are not about to be entering in to Billy buying another bar. I do not want to see it. I'm sure that seedy bar is meant for Amanda's part to show us that she's comfortable in an environment like that. That she's okay being underground a little bit. But why are we seeing it for Billy? I don't know. And I really doubt that he's going to find himself in that bar. At least, I hope he doesn't. We have had a dozen dingy bars on this show over the years. Jimmy's is the one that he bought all those years ago. Don't need to see it again. I've hated all of these dingy bars. I guess I just hate dingy bars. I don't know. If Billy is going to be taking some kind of inspiration from whatever's going to go on with Amanda, saving her from some unruly drunk guy at the bar, I'd rather it be that maybe Billy decides to open up a boxing club or do something positive, not just like serving up alcohol. I just would rather see Billy doing anything that doesn't make my TV screen smell like stale beer and puke. Kyle said that he was going to be keeping an open mind about Theo, but is he? On Theo's very first day, Kyle comes to the office with a chip on his shoulder, talking to Summer about how Theo is late, of course. When actually Theo was there early and he was already working on an assignment for Summer. And then when Theo gave his motivational poster speech to his new teammates, having to do that while the co-COO and while two of your bosses are watching you, a little nerve-wracking. I mean, Kyle watched Theo give this speech, smiled to his face, and then when Theo left, Kyle rushed over to his computer just to find out that Theo had sourced his speech from that lovely set of motivational posters. 3 for $20. Can't beat that deal. I'm gonna have to order me some of those. Put them right back here on the wall behind me. Hey man, I agree that Theo's speech was hokey and hollow. 100%. He said a lot and didn't say a thing. But we also know he was nervous. I mean, forget the fact that Kyle and Summer were standing back there with hawk eyes on him. We saw him at Society, sucking down Lola's coffee, prepping for his first day at his job. If Kyle was really, honestly, truly keeping an open mind when it comes to Theo, then Kyle might try to help him. Kyle might try to guide him through this new corporate culture that Theo has no experience in, instead of standing there waiting for him to fail. I think Kyle's idea of Kyle's idea of keeping an open mind about Theo is he's not going to help him fail. But he is going to lurk around and wait for it to happen. If Theo's first day did not meet Kyle's expectations, then Kyle needs to be clear with Theo about what those expectations are. You want a solid action plan from him, Kyle? Well, then tell him to have it on your desk tomorrow morning. Especially since Kyle was so quick to remind Theo that he's still his boss. He has multiple bosses, Kyle included. I would rather see Kyle being hard on Theo, just actively like being a boss on Theo, rather than just being kind of passive aggressive and talking behind his back. What I did not like about Theo's first day was the way that Theo kept hugging up on Summer when she asked him not to. Summer is very proud of her new position. She's very serious about her job. She's the vice president of marketing. She's been putting a lot of effort into her career. She cares about it. She wants to maintain her professionalism. And she told Theo, who is her subordinate, to keep his hands off of her. While they are inside the hallowed halls of Jabot, keep your hands off of me. It doesn't look professional to have the VP of marketing getting pawed up on all day by the new guy. Yeah. She tried to establish that boundary, and Theo disregarded it. He hugged her like 3 times, separate times. And she was clearly uncomfortable with it. No, dude. From 9 to 5, she is your boss, not your girlfriend. You can save those hugs and kisses for the after party, and I'm fine with that. But I don't care. Anybody could be lurking around the corner at any point. You need to keep your hands off of her, at least until she has a remote control installed on her office door. And then she can just click a button, have some privacy, and you guys can do whatever you want. I just totally understood why Summer would feel uncomfortable. And the other thing is, I totally understand how Summer is stuck in the middle of all this, and I empathize with it. Summer's stuck between Kyle and Theo. She's stuck between her boss and her employee. Oh, I mean, every single time Kyle comes around the corner, he is complaining to Summer, rolling his eyes about Theo, making snide comments. So Summer's in a bad spot. She is on a balance beam because I think she wants Theo to succeed, but she is constantly being subjected to Kyle's argument for why Theo won't succeed. Once again, I really appreciated Lola's role in all of this. Lola pulls Kyle back to reality in her very Lola-like way. And she tells him, hey, if Theo is all talk and no game, then everybody's going to see that soon enough. You don't have to do anything. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that completely. But instead, it's just creating this air of doubt. Summer started questioning Theo about his management plans. Like, do you have anything planned for your team beyond laser tag? I mean, all they're seeing is the fun side of Theo. He's trying to present the ways in which he's giving something unique to the company and team building, and they didn't see the behind the scenes work that he's doing, because Theo came back to Summer and he had this great list of ideas, and I think Summer was relieved to see them, but now Theo is questioning Summer about why she's questioning him. Oh, like, is it my boss who's doubting me right now, or is it my girlfriend? Which is it? You know, we've got this line that we're trying to dance between, and I'm trying to. It all boils down to this. We need a second office at Jabot. Why is there only one office and hallway? Kyle and Summer wouldn't even be able to micromanage Theo if all of Theo's meetings weren't taking place in the CEO office or in the Jabot hallway. So much is going on at Jabot, we need a new set. Or if we have to be in the hallway, then I want Gloria there at the reception desk, quietly judging them all. And then running back to Jack to gossip about it. Hey, why wasn't Gloria in the Jack-centered episode? The Abbott family episode. We didn't even get one single frame of Gloria. She had as much of an epic rivalry with Jack as Jill did. Gloria butted heads with Jack at Jabot as much as Jill did. And Gloria was married to John, which Jack hated, same as Jill. So why was Jill there but not Gloria there? I guess Gloria's not founding father enough to make the flashback episode. The only difference, honestly, the only difference between the relationship Jack had with Jill and the relationship he had with Gloria was that Jack didn't end up sleeping with his father's wife when it comes to Gloria until after John had already died. I mean, he slept with Jill while John was still alive, but he respectfully waited for John to die before he went and slept with Gloria. Hey, there's progress. There's some character development for you. Do you remember how high and fluffy and bouncy Peter Bergman's bangs used to be? His bangs just bounced around in the scenes. It was something to behold. Nikki had some pretty massive bangs too, especially in her engagement scenes with Jack. And you know, there was some great hair. I mean, mostly the whole special episode I was just making hair notes, hair and outfit notes, but mostly hair. Jill had some pretty interesting hair there too in her first scenes with Jack. Her whole head was like 95% hairspray. Oh, what a gem. What a precious, precious gem. I loved it. I loved the exploration of the Abbott family, mostly centered through Jack's eyes. I think Jack went through and read all his chapters. Jack really focused on his chapters in the book. I mean, we had his relationship with his parents. You know, Jack coming back to Genoa City. Presumably that was when the role was recast. They started with Jack coming back to Genoa City. I imagine from, what, was he working or was he coming back from his education? I'm not sure. But we had Jack coming back into Jabot with John warning Jack about Victor. That's really interesting that Peter Bergman taking the role really was that was the first hint of that rivalry. I mean, it really kind of launched the whole rest of the character's life. John warning Jack about this Victor Newman guy led to what, you know, we all know as Jack's probably most epic fail, and the root of his major daddy issue. I mean, the fact that Jack ended up losing the company to Victor probably not too long after that. I mean, I don't know how long it was, but it was a warning that came from John. It was very significant. Yeah, I think that I'm glad Y&R spent plenty of time focusing on Jack's relationship with his father. You know, Jack always wanting to please his father, I think, was, and wanting to follow in his footsteps, but always feeling short. That was a very important part of Jack's life. You know, I mean, we saw John's death. I didn't really like looking at those scenes. I remember being very shocked that they killed the character. And yet, for all of the times that Y&R after that brought Jerry Douglas back as a ghost for absolutely no reason, not really adding a whole lot, now would have been a much better time to have brought him back. I mean, this episode would have been the episode to bring Jerry Douglas back, bring John back at least as a ghost. He could have been, you know, a ghost standing there in the living room looking on at his family and helping Peter Bergman celebrate his 30 years. Why not? If the actor's willing, why not? I mean, we brought Dina out from nowhere. Dina, we saw her, and I do remember Dina coming back. She was there, wanted to reunite her family a little bit. She wanted to reunite with John. Ooh, we had Marla Adams showing up in the opening credits this week for the first time. Did you guys catch that? Ooh, I screen capped it. Marla Adams, her title card was probably one of the greatest in the history of this current set of title cards. Marla Adams was giving us the two faces of Dina, because when that title card first pops up, ooh, dang, she looked angry. She's looking like at you like, what'd you do? And then out of nowhere, it just breaks into a smile. I mean, I couldn't believe it. It was real stern, and then broke out into a smile. It was kind of great. They did trot her out at the very end of the Abbott special episode. They had her sitting on the couch looking generally happy, but with no speaking lines that could ruin the happy moment and note that the episode was to end on. It was good though. I enjoyed taking a little trip down memory lane. The loves of Jack's life. We had Nikki and Phyllis, probably the most notable, and the people who are on the show currently. I had forgotten about Phyllis's fertility issues. She and Jack wanted to have a baby, and they just couldn't pull it off. Turns out the issue must have been Jack, because Phyllis had absolutely no problem getting pregnant when she was having that affair with Nick. That's about to happen again. You know, I've always said I think the true love of Jack's life is Victor Newman. That is the true lasting love of his life, and vice versa from Victor's side. Of course, they showed the famous heart attack scene. I mean, we've talked about it a million times. Victor has his heart attack, and Jack makes a very conscious choice to leave him there, leave him for dead, accidentally kicking the hand as he walks away. Peter Bergman accidentally kicked Eric Braeden's hand as he steps over the body, and it just added, it was an oopsie that added a level of coldness that was just epic. I mean, ugh, when he kicks the hand, it's like, man, not only is he gonna leave him for dead, but he's gonna kick his hand too. Ooh, it was so good. I love seeing that, of course. I loved seeing the chair out the window scene between them. I screen capped so many screen caps. There are so many screen caps that I had to create a special post for it at the website, and that's not even all of them. I had to use my good judgment to just keep the best of the best of the best, because I had to screen cap like you know me. I love Victor and Jack. I love the rivalry. I wanted to get all of their different styles through time. So I was like, ooh, Victor looks good there. Ooh, Jack looks good there. It was ridiculous the amount of screen caps I had. But I enjoyed doing it. I feel like I'm preserving a little bit of Y&R history by doing that. I'm also glad that Y&R did spend some time focusing on Jack's relationship with Nikki, especially because I think I came onto Y&R after they were already broken up and they'd had the loss of their child. But I think also that Jack's relationship with Nikki plays so appropriately into his famous feud with Victor that I love so much. The scene we saw where Victor was offering Jack the Jabot back. He was offering to give Jabot back to Jack if, in exchange, he would leave Nikki and the kids. Jabot for Nikki and the kids. Ooh. And then later, you know, we had Victor and Nikki arguing. She went down, caused her to miscarry. And Jack always resented Victor for that, blamed him for that. We also had his relationship with his sisters. We spent some time with Ashley and their rivalry that really is only kind of a year old. The flashback from that was not very old. But we had his relationship with Tracy. I really, in terms of Tracy's character, one of the most impactful moments for me with her was the fact that she, I think, maybe articulated for the first time that it was a great complex of her life, that her father only called one of his daughters my beauty. And that will always stick with me, because John's doting upon Ashley and calling her my beauty, I always took as very sweet and sincere, and I felt affectionate about that, but never really did think about how that must make the other daughter feel. You know, and John was always presented as such a really good guy, and yet, you know, even the best of guys can have that little bit of a blind spot, you know. And I think also that moment is so impactful because it told me something new about a character that I've known for a really long time. I really like that when I'm continuing to get to know a character, and it just added a beautiful layer of depth to Tracy's personality. We also had a brief moment about Jack's relationship with Billy. Not much. We saw the flashback of Jack saving Billy from the rubble, which is worth noting. I did not love that episode where the underground caught on fire and collapsed and Billy was trapped in the rubble. That was the beginning of Mal Young being Y&R's new writer, and I hated it. I remember watching that episode and just going, I hate this so much. I don't like disaster. I don't need this to be an action film. Like, I did not. So I'm critical. I've been critical of the teams in charge all the way down the line. But boy, Mal turned me around. I really was able to get on board with his speed and his pacing. And who knows, maybe that's part of the reason I'm having trouble adjusting to where we are today. But yeah, we also had a flashback that I think is notable between Jack and Kyle. It was the moment of Dina's, it was the night of Dina's movie premiere, and Jack was giving Kyle a pair of cufflinks to wear that belonged to John Abbott. And I thought that was very significant to include in the show now, because Kyle was working with Victor at that time. He was trying actively to sell Jabot out from underneath the Abbott family. I mean, you know, Kyle, not such a sweet guy then, was he? You know, he wasn't such a sweetheart. And now here he is, maybe pretending to be something else. I think it puts a little more context into what Theo might be seeing of Kyle, that maybe Kyle is putting on some airs. And he's also not being very forgiving about other people changing when he certainly did. He was certainly given an opportunity to change. Yes, I thought it was odd, though, that there was no mention of Abby. She was there for the family toast at the end, but just nothing. I mean, I guess they only had so much space. And all in all, I think they did a lovely job. I really enjoyed that special episode. I always love seeing our flashbacks, and I think Y&R definitely put in some new old flashbacks that we haven't seen before. A lot of times we end up with the same flashbacks over and over, but it feels like somebody dug into the archives and formatted some new stuff, some new old stuff for us to see. So I thought that was great, and I'm also I am looking forward to what new memories the Abbott family will have for us in the future too. Never ignore the red flags, Nate. It came directly from Amanda's mouth to your ears, Nate. Never ignore the red flags. Amanda said this last week. She was having a conversation with Nate. They were talking about relationships. It was almost a premonition. Amanda telling Nate not to ignore the red flags, and now here he is this week. She's saying she changed her phone number. He has sensed different things from her over time, and this is a red flag. It may not necessarily turn out to be anything, but it is, I think, worth investigating. So I hope he takes this advice. Just a few people guessed that Amanda said it. Keisha, Henry, Anna, Jamie, Sandra, Marion, Jillian, Ambreen, and Diana. You guys all guessed it right. I'm going to give you a hard one this week. I don't think you guys are going to get it. It was so brief, but for some reason it caught me. Here's the quote. Optimism, yes. Who was talking about optimism? Optimism, yes. I think I like it because it sounds like it could possibly be this person's book title. Optimism, yes. Let's all remember to have a little optimism, yeah, shall we? Especially when I get so grumpy about the show. I get all angry about my cane and my various things. I just need to remember optimism, yes. And if you think you know who said it, you can go to yrchat.com to leave me your guess. And of course, if you get it right, then I will give you your optimistic shout out on next week's Y&R Chat. Laura says, I loved seeing Marla Adams in the intro. Her return to the show is so wonderful. The Alzheimer's storyline is an important one, and she played it beautifully. I hope she gets an Emmy. Oh, I know. I was so surprised to see her added after all this time. It seems like we're seeing her less and less, and she's just now getting her intro. But Sherrod notes, I think that since the 11:25 show was all about the Abbotts, they were all in the opening credits, except Kyle. We talked about this a few weeks ago, the fact that Lola has a title credit, Mariah, but Kyle doesn't have one. And that's such a good point. I did notice that all of the Abbotts were billed in the special memoir episode. But, and it made sense that Marla Adams would be added, but boy, where is Michael Mealor's title card? Where's Kyle? Jamie just says, in my heart, that day's opening credits will forever be known as No Mariah Monday 2019. That is so true. That is some hibiscus tea right there. As soon as you see it, you can't unsee it. Mariah in every single opening credits, except No Mariah Monday 2019. Oh, Ellen, you knew I was going to read this comment. Tracy, great job on the book. Did you erase chemo? And is Theo included? I don't want to hear that he is not an Abbott. Patrilineal names are just a tradition. He shares a grandmother with Kyle and Abby. He's part of the Abbott family story. DNA is DNA, whether through the male or female line. Oh, well, I like this comment for two reasons. First of all, because yes, it's true. He's family. Theo's family. And he wasn't there. There wasn't any mention of his father. But more important to me was the no mention of chemo. What is it? What is it about that? Jana says, as we all know, chemo will never be mentioned again. The show has made a point of trying to recon that storyline. Retcon. Why? What is wrong with chemo? Why do they just act like it didn't happen? I mean, it's not only that it's just not right with the continuity. Like it's wrong to just forget this continuity, a whole person. But I also just just really liked Chemo. I really liked Philip Moon. He was a good actor, and I miss him. I wish they would bring it back up. Why just ignore it? Why not bring Chemo on and develop around that? It's also kind of a really great opportunity to bring in some Asian American characters. What's the deal? Of course, I say this every time we talk about Chemo, that I heard Peter Bergman did not like that storyline. And that's all fine and good. I mean, I do think it was weird that they just decided to make, they made Jack like a soldier out of nowhere. I mean, he was Jack doing his Jack thing, and then for no reason in the 90s, they decided that Jack had been a soldier. And he had this whole relationship with Lon, and they had a son brought back to Genoa City, and then Lon died in this tragic way, but the son was still there. Jack tried to keep him around for a little bit and then just disappeared. I agree that the leap for the story was meh, but since when did the actors get to drive what gets included in the ultimate continuity? You know, since when? I mean, I'm sorry that you didn't like that story, Peter Bergman, if that's true. But it still happened, and I still liked it, and I feel like we should acknowledge it. It would be perfect to have Chemo on now, or maybe like a grandson of Chemo. Jack doesn't even have any grandchildren yet. Just on a side note, I was thinking to myself this week, you know what would be kind of a great storyline for Jack? Is if he maybe starts getting a little pushy with Lola about having a baby. Because you know Jack wants a grandkid, and I don't want to see Jack being, I mean, you know, not everybody can be nice and right all the time. It would be kind of good, though, just to see Jack have a couple of episodes of maybe trying to, you know, tell Lola that he wants a grandkid. I think that would be interesting, or just something. It would add a little grandparent-y vibe to Jack, which we know that he wants. But he could have grandchildren out there for all we know now. Oh, Daisy says, Billy seems very lost. He may have realized that he doesn't know what to do with himself and never should have left the family business. But also, maybe Billy's planning to leave and find a life away from every reminder of how his daughter died. Start a new life somewhere else. I worry that Billy is going the way of Cane. I said this last week. I don't know if Y&R is on the verge of something new with Billy, or if they are on the verge of being done with Billy. I don't know at this point. I guess we'll find out. Speaking of Cane, Laura says, about Daniel Goddard, we don't know what happened behind studio doors. Maybe there was a big fight and it was all Daniel's fault. Or maybe Daniel was completely innocent and the studio was the bad guy. The thing is, no matter what happened, and if nothing happened at all, the audience deserves a better ending to the Cane storyline. This character was in our homes for a very, very long time. It is a kindness to us to come up with a thoughtful exit. Really, this is very disappointing. No, hold up, Laura says. Spoke too soon. Here he is at Devon's apartment. Okay, I love this comment, Laura, and I'm going to answer in two parts because I think you're totally right. I mean, we don't know what happened behind closed doors. Daniel Goddard, as much as he's an angel to me, maybe he did something, maybe he said something, I don't know. He could be at fault. Or the studio could be at fault. We don't know. But the point is not about Daniel Goddard. The point is about the character of Cane. And it was a crappy ending, if you ask me. And to the second point of your comment, we got to talk about this because, all right. Daniel Goddard announced on Twitter that his episode, I think it aired on Tuesday, the Tuesday episode was his last. And it was the episode in the Maldives. And it just ended with Cane saying, I'm going to go out and clear my name. Okay. So I think that Daniel Goddard was originally told that his final air date was going to be, I think it was 11/27. But then we had the preemptions and we had Thanksgiving and things had to scramble around. And I think he announced prematurely, today's my last episode, because he's just focused on the date. So then the following day, we have another episode with Cane. There he is, popping up in Devon's apartment. But here's the thing. There was no difference between the two scenes. None. His last episode could have been the Maldives episode, and nothing changed. It was still just Cane being accused of doing something wrong. I mean, in the Maldives, Cane was being accused of doing something wrong by Colin. And then the next episode was just Cane in Devon's apartment being accused of something wrong by Devon. So, and then at the end declaring that he's gonna make things right. So there's just, it could have been either. It's still a bad ending is my argument. All it did was try to shake out the faith in Cane's goodness of all the people that he's interacted and known with. I mean, even Jill doubted him in the end. Jill doubted him, Devon doubts him. Elena was being a little cool. I did appreciate that. I mean, Colin throwing him under the bus. I mean, maybe we'll find out that Cane skipped town or whatever and he did take the money, but I'd have rather seen that on the screen. It's all playing out, all the drama, all the good drama around this story, honestly, was played out off screen. I would have rather seen Colin's confession. I would have rather seen him somehow escaping from these FBI or international guys, getting out of his handcuffs and getting away. I'd have rather seen that. I would have rather have seen Simon Black having his conversation with Chance, telling him about his connection to Colin. It's bad, you guys. This is bad. It is not only disappointing, but it's bad. I'm curious to see the poll results because I could be wrong. I can absolutely be wrong, and if I am, I will, I'll adjust. I want the show to be good, but not only am I mad about the fact that Cane was leaving, but I'm also mad now about the way that he left. Gary says, well, there it is, wrapped up in a pretty bow and laid out for us on a silver Thanksgiving platter. Cane is clearly innocent and will scour the earth to bring his father to justice and return Devon's inheritance to him. One quick little pause here. Did you definitely interpret him saying that as saying that he's going to bring the money back to Devon? Because what he said was, I'm going to bring the money back to its rightful inheritor, which I want to believe is Devon. I think it's going to be Devon. But I just still think there's a loophole of I don't feel clear about which will was the real will. You know, is there any chance that Cane could go off and bring the money back to himself, believing that he is the real inheritor? I'm not sure, but reading on, it's a nice twist for me to see father and son back as enemies, which is where this relationship should always have stayed. All of you chatters falling under the Stinger Scorpio charm, consider who this Y&R character actually is. For all of Cane's shortcomings, I'm tired of hearing him apologize for himself, at least Cane has always been man enough to never cry mommy and daddy issues for his screw-ups. There are fans who don't like Cane, but I believe he has a huge fan following, and Y&R is going to hear the displeasure in having let Daniel Goddard go. Yeah, and I actually really do enjoy Cane's relationship with his dad, because also part of Cane's conflict, as it was explored a while ago, was the fact that he came from a con artist family. I mean, Colin was a con, Genevieve was a con, so he came into town knowing how to con. And then over time, it was the evolution of his character that made him become this upstanding citizen. So it's an important part of Cane's character, who his family is and who where he came from. And that wasn't really explored in the end. They just sort of chucked Colin in for 2 days, and that's it. We're just supposed to be happy with that ending. It was just supposed to be satisfied, I guess. Tony says, Tony theorizes that the audience will receive updates of Cane's search without really seeing him. Oh, and Chance will be out there following Cane one step behind him, but not on the show either. Yes, exactly, Tony. This is exactly what they're going to do. We've seen the last of Cane, but we haven't heard the last of Cane. This next week, maybe the week after, I don't know. Devon's going to get some kind of letter, or Chance is going to give us some kind of update on Colin. We're never going to see it, and they're just going to tell us who gets the money in a couple of weeks. That doesn't feel satisfying. That doesn't feel like resolution to me. It just feels like they are just unable to complete a story. We have so many stories and none of them feel complete. None of them feel well told. And I think this is a really good example of it. Don't have all the action off screen. All of the action is off screen. I mean, I guess they wanted to wrap it up quick because maybe it was a contract issue even. Maybe they just didn't want to pay him. Maybe he thought he was worth more or whatever. I don't know, but okay, fine. Maybe the Cane storyline is bad, but what's the excuse for all the other ones that are kind of bad and loose-endy right now? There's a little ray of sunshine from Diana, who says, apparently Cane is going to be playing Steffi's new boyfriend on The Bold and the Beautiful. On the bright side, it's good news because we can still see his cute face and hear his sexy accent. Allie, maybe it's going to be a good time to start watching that show again. Oh, you know it is, Diana. I'm going to tell you right now, if they cast Daniel Goddard on Bold and Beautiful, I'm back in. Day one, I'm back in. I'm watching B&B again. Because I want to support this actor. And I hope so. I hope that whatever it was maybe just kind of a conflict between this current writing team or who knows, whoever the executives are. I mean, I put a lot of heat on Josh Griffiths, but there's other people. He's just a writer. He's not the everything. There's other execs involved in Y&R that maybe it was just a conflict. Sometimes those can't be resolved, but maybe there was enough goodwill built up there between Daniel and the network that they'll transition him over to Bold and the Beautiful. I think he would be a super sexy pairing for Steffi. Ooh, 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 ooh. And he can just come back to Y&R in a year. Problem solved. Can we talk about this will for a minute? Because I know I'm not alone. Ellen says, question, did Y&R ever explain why Catherine would have given all her fortune to Devon rather than giving an equal share to her granddaughter Mackenzie and also Brock, Philip, Chance? Why only Devon? Did I miss something? I remember the others getting a bequest, but not billions. And I assume that Cane's inheritance will blow over. Well, you know, I'm glad that you mentioned this too, because Chance is very well in the line of would have needed to, needing to inherit, or eligible for like family inheritance, I suppose. Is there any chance is behind all this? Is what I'm thinking now. He didn't get the billions, so maybe he came up with this scam to get the billions. Is Chance the culprit? Is Chance the originator? And as far as why did Devon get all, I mean, that would be enough to, okay, Chance has the reason to want revenge on Devon more than Cane. Chance would be like, hey, why did that grandchild get grandma's billions and this grandchild didn't? That is a good question right there, Ellen. But I mean, in terms of your, like, did it ever get explained? No. I think that the only reason Devon inherited the billions was because at the time, Brock, Philip, Chance, none of them were on the show. So I just get the feeling that since Devon was the only one left, they just gave it to him. And I, at the time, definitely thought, well, that's weird. That's a lot of money to give to Devon. But we went with it. We wrote it out. I love this comment from Daisy too, because Daisy says, Devon is not that dumb. He to build and run a multi-million-dollar company on his own. I seriously doubt he'd give away his inheritance without a proper investigation. Wait a minute, Daisy, hold up. Because now you're jogging my memory on something. This is true. Devon had his own independent investigation of the will pages that supported the whole idea that the new will pages were real. Devon did this research. It wasn't just Jill's forensic certified documents examiner that maybe Colin or Cane could have influenced. Devon had his own people doing research, and they told him, yeah, the new will is authentic. So, is that going to come back up, or did that just get washed away? Because it's true that Devon just looks dumb for giving away all his money with no questions asked, but that's not what happened. Devon supposedly did the research. Are we just supposed to forget that? Because I did, because I'm trying to follow all the little rabbit holes. There are so many stories and so many lines of thought that are just everywhere all week that I follow the ones that get picked up on, but then something else gets forgotten because it's not addressed. Is that going to be addressed? Well, you can't just explain everything saying, oh, that certified forensic documents examiner was fake, and then not explain Devon's forensic document examiner. I don't remember disliking a writing squad as much as I do this one. I really don't. I'm sorry. I don't want to be this negative, but I don't like it. I did not like Jill Farron Phelps all that much, and that's who Josh worked with, and I should have known. This is just not my style. I'm not happy. But you know what? I should say there are some things that I am still happy about. The Abby and Phyllis rivalry is one of them. TB84 says, I voted for Abby. Picking Team Abby here. Because first of all, Phyllis is up to something, and I bet it's something to take over the whole Grand Phoenix Hotel all to herself at some point. Abby's trying to fight back and not let that happen. Oh, TB84, this is it. That's probably why Phyllis didn't accept Abby's buyout. Phyllis doesn't want to walk away with nothing. Phyllis wants to walk away with everything. See, I think that's why I voted for Team Phyllis. And Marianne V says, I voted for Abby, but I find Phyllis more interesting. And maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's just that I find Phyllis more interesting, so it kind of makes me want to be on her team. And I'm sort of filling in excuses for why I want to be on her team, because I just find her more interesting. Because, oh yeah, TB84, I think you hit it. She always wanted that hotel. She designed it. She put she ordered all the furniture. And then Abby and Chelsea swooped in. I mean, if anybody has a motive for revenge, it's Phyllis. So you're right. Whatever she's working on, it's to gain full ownership of the Grand Phoenix. But here's a comment from Ellen saying, okay, Chelsea versus Phyllis, I'm Team Phyllis all the way. Phyllis versus the Abbotts, I'm Team Phyllis again. They did her wrong when they booted her out of the company. But Abby versus Phyllis must go with Abby. Phyllis spied her way into forcing 25% ownership of Abby's hotel and is continuing to spy on her. Not cool, Phyllis. Abby never catches a break. She was born caught between the Abbotts and the Newmans. Every romance goes wrong, and she works hard based on her own merits. She deserves good things. Bring back Stitch. Oh, Stitch. I always get updates about Sean Kerrigan, or I always see that he's doing this and that. He's very active. But I like your idea that even though Abby was born with the silver spoon, she has made her own empire. And she gets by on her own merits. Yeah, I think that, Phyllis definitely, Phyllis has had a hard time catching a break in a lot of ways too. But I do appreciate seeing the Abby support, I guess I just didn't guess it. Well, let's talk about Phyllis and Adam. Diana says, when Adam told Phyllis that he hopes she also gets all that she wants in life, while they were drinking champagne and toasting each other at his apartment, the look on Phyllis's face said that she was wishing she could be with Adam romantically. Too bad for Phyllis, as Adam doesn't seem to have any interest in her at all. Oh, pause there because she did have a puzzling look on her face, right? They had that little toast, like, let's hope we get everything we want. And Phyllis almost had like does he like me? She almost seemed to get some validation from him. And when he told her, that he was glad she was there, or he thanked her for the Thanksgiving, or there was he gave her a morsel. And all of a sudden she was like, okay, well, I feel validated now. But I think it's interesting that you also aren't picking up on Adam having any interest, because I'm not really picking up on it either, but he's good at hiding it. Here's another comment though from Diana. Why did Phyllis and Adam have to eat the Chinese food with chopsticks? Adam could barely pick up the rice with them. I've tried to use chopsticks and I know they're not very easy to use. I'm sure it looks better to have the characters using the traditional chopsticks rather than using a knife and a fork. I guess some people find them more fun to use. Just curious if most people really do use them, as I always only see them being used on television. I read your comment before I watched the scene, so I was really cued into Adam and his chopsticks. He was picking up each little individual grain of rice one at a time. Phyllis seemed to have mastered the chopsticks. I thought she did a really good idea, but not so much Adam. I'll be honest with you, I eat Chinese food with a spoon. I could eat it with a shovel. I don't mess around with no fork, no chopstick. Just give me the utensil that'll shove as much of it into my face at the same time. But the other thing is, Adam and the chopsticks didn't bother me half as much as Ray trying to put those plastic forks and knives and spoons into the cups on the counter at Crimson Lights during the Thanksgiving feast. He could not fit another fork into that cup, and he just kept trying and fumbling, and it would fall out of the cup. That guy, as much as I really like Ray, the actor is not very good at saying his lines and doing something else at the same time, because we had this same conversation about him when he was trying to say his lines and fold a blanket like months ago, and here he was again. I could not keep my eyes off of it. Oh, maybe Ray should have just taken that fork and walked it on over to Adam and Phyllis's little Thanksgiving meal. Said, here, you having trouble with the chopsticks? Here's a fork. I don't know what to do with it. Mary Ann V says, I think Phyllis wants Nick back. She wants to be friends with Adam because she thinks they're alike, that they're kindred spirits. But she'd be happy if Chelsea got back with Adam because she could then have Nick. Yeah, I think Phyllis wants them both. I think Phyllis wants it all. I think that's why I like her. Well, Ambrini says, Soapbox. I really enjoyed this podcast interview with Melissa Claire Egan. I don't like Chelsea's character, but the actress is so likable. It's a Soap Opera Digest podcast. Don't worry, Allie, it's totally different from yours, but it's hard to find on their website. So Ambrini left a link to the interview with Melissa Claire Egan in the, I think it was the Daily Watch and Chat thread for this week. You can find the link. You know, I'm sure that she's lovely. From all indications, I think Melissa Claire Egan is just a charmer. She just seems really nice and happy, and I'm sure that she is very easy to like in the podcast. I don't know. I'm having trouble connecting with the character this time around. Also, feel free to listen to other soap podcasts. I'm not the only game in town. I don't take offense. I would listen to them, but you know, I You know me and how I don't like to know too much. But let's talk about these Thanksgiving episodes. Diana says, I like that Y&R showed Summer and Nick pulling on the crackers at the Thanksgiving dinner and then wearing the tissue paper hats. It made it realistic as to what families often do. Would have been a nice touch to hear the characters read some of the jokes that are usually inside of them and then compare their prizes that they received. It also would have been nice to see Victor's new pinball machine that he mentioned now that he owns one, and it would be good to see the look on Connor and Christian's faces. I know, it's so funny to think of Victor going out and buying a pinball machine, but I gotta be honest with you, I didn't know what the heck those things were. You just called them crackers? I never seen one before in my life. Ever. It took me a minute to even realize what you were saying. Summer and Nick did have that moment where they were pulling on that thing and I was lost. I was like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't really know why they're all wearing these crowns, but it's visually cool. I pull on wishbone. Thanksgiving, you'd pull on the wishbone. I've never seen a cracker before. Are they pre-made? Do you order these things and then you don't know what's inside them? It's like a party favor, I guess? Is it traditional for Thanksgivings? Has anyone else ever seen them before or used them? That's so funny. I'm so glad you said that, though, because it helped complete the picture in my mind of what the heck was going on there. I was more focused on this. TB84 noted how Summer and Chelsea's dresses matched the colors of their paper crowns. Now, here's where I was locked in. Summer had on a green crown with her green dress. Chelsea had on a red crown with her red dress. I loved that Victor had the yellow one because, of course, he would have the faux gold crown. We had Nikki had the red crown. Nick chose the pinkish, purplish, brightest neon-y color one, which I thought was appropriate for him. Billy chose a deep purple, which also it was like a deep Prince purple. Maybe Billy should have had an emerald green one. but Victoria kind of had that. I guess it was more teal. Which crown color would you have chosen? I kind of had my eye on that deep purple one Billy had. I might have snatched that off of his head. Do you tell me what color crown you would have picked? Superplex says Victoria looked like she was dressed for a 19th century British funeral. Yeah. What was Victoria wearing? Beautiful dress. For Halloween? What? You gotta go back and look at some screen caps of this. It was very lacy. It had these like puffy sleeves, but on the top, but tight on the bottom. I do not know. It was grim. Victoria looked grim this Thanksgiving. Oh, well, hey, Gary says, Noah, Reed, and Faith can't be here, says Victor. I had completely forgotten that they existed for the moment. I can understand why Noah would not be there. He has his own life. And Reed could be partying with friends and musician friends. But where is Faith? Why is Faith not back from boarding school? Has this been addressed? Has Sharon said anything? Well, I have some news for you, Gary. Faith will be back for the holidays. I don't know why she wasn't there for Thanksgiving, but Olivia Allen Lind is returning to The Young and the Restless on Friday, December 20th, just in time for some festive holiday fun or drama, according to Soaps in Depth. So we will get Faith. Never you worry. But speaking about Noah, for the second week in a row, can you believe it? Why no current cast of Noah? I just think that Noah could create some kind of perfect awkwardness for Mariah and Tessa. We need some reason to get some more Mariah and Tessa. Noah would be it. Speaking of Tessa, Sherrod says, do the writers even know this show and their characters, of all people? Tessa is the only one currently on the canvas who was actually homeless and would relate to what Sharon does each year at Thanksgiving. Yet she was not there, and the reason was just stupid. Because if it was only about their plans getting pushed back, then she could have been there with Mariah. Keep it simple, keep it real, Sherrod says. Yeah, I know it. They have sidelined Tessa. She would have been another perfect fit. I remember her living out of her car. It is almost, they're picking and choosing. Ellen says, Josh and the whole writer's room seem to be throwing ideas against the wall and abandoning them before they ever go anywhere. The cast must be very disappointed. I've seen some retweets from Eric Braeden about the lack of story for veteran Y&R actors. This indicated that he's upset about the lack of screen time for Victor, Nikki, Ashley, and others. I hope the show can find its footing again soon. I'm glad to have Adam back. I'm glad the ridiculous full-time hate campaign against him seems to have toned down. Let's hope they figure out what to do with Adam, Sharon, Phyllis, and Amanda. They all seem in need of a real story to me. I mean, it seems like there are a lot of not real stories going on right now, but I love the way you summarized it, that it's like they're throwing a bunch of ideas on the wall and none of them go anywhere or get fully followed through with. It's just pick some and go with them and make them good and flourish them out. I didn't see Eric Braeden doing any retweets though. That's juicy. That's at least a little encouraging. I mean, when Eric Braeden is openly saying he don't like something, then maybe something will change. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I would love to see more Nikki. Gosh, it was good to see her. She looked great too at the Newman family Thanksgiving. I'd love to see some Ashley. I think we're getting plenty of Phyllis, but I think we need more Sharon. Yeah. Laura says, I'm waiting for my next Sharon storyline. Also, where is Lauren? Jack promised me more Lauren. He did too, didn't he? How dare he go back on his promise? Co-CEOs, Lauren and Kyle, and yet we're only seeing Kyle do the job. They made Michael the president of the Glee Club, and we haven't seen him in a while. They elected Michael as the president of the Glee Club and then didn't see him again. Didn't even see him talking to Nick about his campaign run that lasted for 2 weeks. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about something a little more Thanksgiving-y and happy and yummy. Ellen says, in response to my description of my Thanksgiving last week, slimy pumpkin pie and dry leftover turkey? What kind of hellish Thanksgivings have you been subjected to, Allie? Blink if you need to be rescued. We will send Chance immediately. Oh no, now I have to try to make myself not blink. I tell ya, the slimy pumpkin pie, it just is though. I've had more than one pumpkin pie and it just always, I think it's the consistency. Maybe I don't like pumpkin puree. I love pumpkins. I live in the #1 pumpkin producing area of the entire world. Where I live produces more pumpkins than anywhere else in the entire world. I love pumpkins. I love the way they look. I love the way they smell. I mean, I'm all about pumpkins, but for some reason, man, I don't like pureed pumpkin unless it's in a bread. I make pumpkin bread, but for some reason, the pumpkin pie is just so slimy to me. I guess it's just a consistency thing. And the dry turkey, I mean, I don't know what to say. Turkey's always juicy the first day, and then it's just bull after that. Everybody always going on about Thanksgiving turkey leftovers, and it's never any good. I will say though that my apple pie turned out really good, and I'm so proud of myself. Sandra says, happy Thanksgiving, chatters. Allie, if we lived closer, I'd say come by for some juicy turkey with all the trimmings. I just smother it with love, make the sign of the cross, say a little prayer before I toss it in the oven. It works every time. Oh, juicy turkey. Even the second day sounds amazing. Well, Anna suggests if we want to eat turkey leftovers that are not dry, here's a surefire way to do it. In a pan sprayed with spray oil, throw your turkey in a bit of butter or a lot of butter, whatever you prefer, and it'll come out better than the day you made the turkey. Ooh, Anna, that is genius. It is certifiably genius. Why didn't I think of that? Frying anything makes it better. Okay, everybody, that takes me to the end of another cheery Y&R chat. I sure hope you enjoyed it. I don't know, sometimes I think maybe the Y&R chats are a little bit more fun when I'm angry. Is that weird? Sometimes I'll go back and listen, and when I really get on a tear about something, it's kind of engaging, so I suppose bad Y&R makes better Y&R chat. Ironically. But I'd rather have good Y&R and boring Y&R chat. I would rather have Y&R be great and lose a bunch of listeners and subscribers because there's just nothing more to say. It's so great. Bad Y&R also makes for longer Y&R chats. My camera battery just died, 2 minutes from the end? I don't know why I don't just buy a new camera battery and solve this problem forever. 15 bucks would probably solve this problem forever. After 10 years, you'd think I'd have picked that up. Okay, so I gotta get going. YRChat.com is the website if you want to sound off about anything or balance me out and give me some positivity. Anything you want to contribute there is always appreciated. And I'm sick of Thanksgiving leftovers, so I'm going out for pizza tonight. I've had 2 days of leftovers. I'm over it. I want a nice crispy cheese pizza. Happy Thanksgiving. I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Mwah!